Hey guys, I'm Rev Shadow 508.
And I'm War God. I'm War God Slayer 22.
So me and War God here, or as you can refer to us, I'm Max and he's Tyler.
Yes.
Um, this today, as you know, it's May 3rd. For those of you watching, if you're Battleborn friends, this is the 1 year anniversary of this game's launch. Both of us pre-ordered this game. I actually pre-ordered it twice. I bought it both digital and physical, and
And I just bought the pre-order the physical edition because I wanted the statue thing that came with it.
but I of course wanted all the little nits and bits and get the frickin' all the skins and the taunts and stuff that came along with it, which I'm happy I did because they weren't launched any other way. Um, but yeah, so we just sort of wanted to do a year, like I guess you could say it's a retrospective in some senses, and just talk in general about Battleborn and everything that happened, what we think about the game overall, our experiences with the game. Um, you
Welcome back,
know,
Commander.
just sort of everything that went along with the launch of Battleborn to where we are now, which is a year out from the day it came out. So to
And I'm
start
gonna
off,
say this: it feels like it doesn't feel like it's been a year. Let's put it that way. It feels like it was just yesterday that
mm,
we were first getting this game, unboxing,
yeah,
downloading the day one patch and playing it.
yeah. See, I was a little bit different. Like I played it. I played one match at midnight with our friend Kirk, who didn't stay with us too long with the game, but we obviously kept playing it a lot more than he did.
Yeah.
This game just really wasn't for him, and that's something I can stress immediately. Um, Battleborn does have a way everyone can enjoy it. Uh,
Yes.
the matter is what your length of stay is going to be based on, I guess you could say, how versatile you are, or how much enjoyment you can draw from doing certain
Yeah.
things
It's what
over
you
and
get out
over
of the
again.
game.
Yeah,
It's what you get out of the game in terms of that.
because the first thing, as you know, as of a year ago, we only had 25 characters. We now have 30 because they did free DLC for the game and everything.
Yes.
And the main thing is, what characters do you enjoy? Are you up for anything, or are you only going to like a certain character? Because if you only like, say, a certain two characters, and you're the kind of person who doesn't, say, like to play the game over and over again with different people and stuff like that, this game's not going to have quite the length of stay for you as it would to someone like me who maybe initially wasn't open to trying all the characters, but eventually ended up going for all the characters. Like hell, I platinumed the base game. I haven't done all the DLC.
Yeah.
Maybe someday I'll go back, but
Hell, that's more than I can say because I didn't care to do a lot of the characters. Like I didn't care to do make the effort and time to do El Dragoon, who, as I know when you did it, was a fucking bitch.
yeah. Oh, Eldragoon's lore. Luckily, you were overpowered when I was doing that, because if he hadn't been, oh lord, that would have been agonizing.
Yeah, but it's shit like that that I didn't care to go through, so I didn't care to platinum it like you did.
Yeah. Obviously, there were some that we initially thought were going to be a lot harder that were actually a lot easier as
And
everything
then the
goes.
same
Like,
could be said. There were some we thought would be easier that were harder than they turned out to be.
oh yeah, like Benedict. I thought Benedict was going to be way hard, but his lore ended up being a lot
Yeah.
easier than I thought it would be. It just took me a few matches. Whereas Whiskey Foxtrot, holy hell, that took
Yeah.
me. I don't even know how many multiplayer matches total
I know. You're just
it
waiting for
was.
someone to play Mike at that point, so that's the funny thing of it.
Yeah, yeah, because that was the main thing that held me up, but also the sticky grenade thing took a while to get used to. What's his total
And I will say this,
multiplayer map
speaking of
count?
lore, fuck those two lore challenges that were to defeat Kill Umbra until they
Yes.
changed it. And even then, it was still fuck that, because those were like
And
the two worst lore challenges in the game as far as I'm
yeah.
concerned.
And that's another thing we can get into. The lore challenges of the game, the structuring of the way they did challenges. So, for those of you who maybe haven't played a lot of Battleborn, lore challenges, every character has a grand total of 5 of them. As here, I'll use Oscar Mike as the most base character, so we'll use Oscar Mike as an example. You have these 4 lore challenges, which you each have to complete, which will unlock, the story blurbs, or this is an audio blurb here that would, you can easily look up online. Shout out to Mental Mars, very prominent figure in the community who
Yeah.
plays a lot of Battleborn. And yeah, what happens when you finish all these? You unlock a trophy as well as you unlock a legendary piece of gear for that character, like that specifically only triggers its legendary effect when it's being used by that character. Otherwise, they're mediocre pieces of gear.
And since you brought up character legendaries, I'm just gonna say this, although we can get into more detail later if you want, is
Hmm.
a lot of the base game legendaries were way better than what the character legendaries turned out to be.
Yeah, that's another thing that can like as you're looking here, you look at comparison. These are both at their best stats as Lenore's Laminate and Heroic Amplifier. As you can see, you get a lot more percentage out of this one, and it all depends on if that secondary function is really jiving with your playstyle, which and
Exactly.
some of them you like. I tried to build some playstyles around some of the legendaries, but didn't quite work.
Yeah.
Whereas some of them are vastly just absolutely insane. Like I can highlight Thorn's legendary. This is absolutely nuts because you can stack her attack speed to make her draw speed even faster.
Yeah. There was a few here and there as far as character legendaries go, like the Thorn one you just mentioned, that were actually
Yeah,
good. But I'd say overall with character legendaries, I was disappointed because of how
yeah,
poor they were in comparison to just regular legendaries.
yeah. And another thing, just to go back to what we were talking about, length of stay, like whereas Tyler, like I played a lot of different characters. Tyler only played like a handful of characters. Maybe about 5 or 6 of the characters total you played
Yeah, I played
religiously.
religiously I played Oscar Mike, Montana, uh Galt,
And Ernest probably.
Ernest
Galt wasn't as religious later on because it's sort of like
yeah.
characters like Galt and Benedict. Sort of you had your Benedict was probably the one that you had the biggest fallout with. Benedict and
Yeah.
Pendles, where you played a
Yes,
shit
and
ton of, and then you just sort of
at the
stopped.
beginning and then just but I'd say those four characters were the ones I played the most because they were what I liked in my playstyle and
Yeah,
I just jived with those characters.
yeah. And you had sort of a binge as Marquise, but then again another one of those ones
Yeah,
where you,
that was like during the beta and for the first like I want to say month when the
yeah,
game came out and then I just fell
yeah,
out of love with him when I
yeah,
because at that point that's when I started
yeah,
trying other characters and started
yeah,
falling in love with Oscar Mike and things like
yeah.
that.
And also we started playing the higher difficulties and you realized because you weren't excellent with them, it wasn't really a viable option for doing some of the harder stuff
Exactly,
in the game.
because I'm just gonna point this out to all the people that are watching this video. I'm not the best sniper. I'm not god awful, but I'm not the best sniper either, and that's
And
basically what he's
also
based around.
doesn't help that Marquise is the definition of a glass cannon in this game. He's
Yeah,
designed to be
exactly.
that way. He's designed to be a glass cannon. Whereas the Elder Dragoon is an accidental glass cannon. He was not designed to be that way, but he ended up that way.
I know. Yep.
So yeah, let's another thing before I get into playing a level, I guess I'll talk a little bit about the DLC and one of the I would say things that felt like the biggest betrayal when it happened. Um, because well, I guess first before we talk about that, we'll talk about the game's release and stuff. As some
Okay.
of you may know, this game launched alongside Overwatch. Ah, this
Yes,
monolith
and we
that
say
we
that
now know
because
in
like
multiplayer gaming.
yeah, and we now say this because Overwatch, since it was done by Blizzard and is a more let's just say simple game because there's not much strategy to it and all that,
Yeah,
overshadowed the launch of Battleborn
yeah.
like hands down.
And they also had Activision backing them, so it's like,
Yeah.
you add a large amount of money with even more money, and if Blizzard handled literally everything game-wise, and then Activision literally only handled the PR, they were set right there, because Activision,
Exactly.
say what you will about them, as marketers, they're very good at marketing their product, even if their product is a literal piece of fake dog poop. They could market it,
Yeah.
they could sell it to you and sell it at, you know, a profit, like a substantial
Mm.
profit. But anyway, not to get into that, but they obviously had a lot more marketing. Battleborn, I would say the thing Battleborn did right is they were able to market it towards their fans, like the
Exactly.
hardcore
Like
fans.
Gearbox fans.
But the problem was it wasn't necessarily like there are people that are Borderlands fans, but not Gearbox fans.
And
And
the
so,
two of us, just so you understand, people that are watching, we're Gearbox fans
yes.
through and through.
And the thing about that was, it got marketed to Borderlands fans. as well. A lot of people who had played Borderlands the pre-sequel and Borderlands 2, which is, as you know, a lot of you probably know, a lot of you probably have played Borderlands 2. As you know, it's one of the, I would say, most iconic shooters of this current century. It's
Yes.
what is it, century or is it millennium? I don't know.
I guess you could say a better way to do it is Gen 2 because it's on the
Yeah.
PS4.
Oh yeah, these consoles, these few generations, these
Yeah.
like this past
Well,
10
technically
years, I
did come
would
out.
say.
Yeah, it technically did come out for PS3
Yeah.
first before it got ported to 4. So you could say a couple generations if you want.
Yeah, it was fairly iconic, and this game ended up being marketed towards pretty much everyone and their mother who had actually played Borderlands. Because the way they market it is, oh, it's for everyone, and everyone's played Borderlands 2, so it's for everyone. So if you've played Borderlands 2, play this game. And while I'll say
Yeah.
the that is in itself a somewhat true statement, but with the game initially being sold at a full market price, you know, and the fact that your length of stay with this game is going to be subjective to whether, you know, not like how much, because the story, you know, we initially thought the story mode was going to be about 10 missions. It's what, 8?
And one of those is a boss battle, so it's technically 7 missions plus a boss battle, if you will.
How is one just a boss battle?
Rendane is more or less just a boss
Well,
battle, because
you
that's the
know,
main point of it.
it has that whole timed element to it, which makes it frantic. But the mission does last about the same length as all the others, because it's not like it's literally a level, a boss rush, and a boss, which is, when you think about it, that's your standard Mega Man final level right there,
Right.
more or less. But yeah, so 8 story missions all will last about, if you're good, 20 minutes, a little over, or sorry, a little over 20 minutes. If you know it's your first time playing, probably around 40 minutes. So the story's not too long there, because you times 40 by 8, you're getting about 7 hours and 20 minutes right there.
No, well, 40 times 8, 'cause 40, yeah,
40
you're
minutes.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, 40 minutes about that is, you're right.
About 7 hours, 20 minutes, roughly around there. 7.5
Yeah.
hours, rounding up.
Which,
So,
if you're putting into today's standards, that's about the average length of any like first-person shooter now. It's 7.5 to 8 hours.
Now, obviously, the story missions are meant to be replayed and everything, but, you know, some people find stuff like that monotonous, even though the dialogue does change. If they don't feel the experience is changing, then even though things are somewhat randomized and thrown around, things are usually pretty by the numbers, and, you know, especially once you've mastered a mission, you know, you can storm through it in 25 minutes.
But that harkens back to your original point. You're saying depends on how many characters you play, depends on what you get for per mission. So if you only stick to one character, you're gonna have the same experience every time you do the mission.
Exactly.
Ergo, you're not gonna stay along with the game. But if you try like multiple characters, which is the point of the game, that's why they give you 25 off the bat, minus a few that have to be unlocked through conditions. That if you try like say 10 different characters in the level, you'll get 10 different experiences because they should play differently.
Exactly. And now the next thing we should get into, when this game was being advertised with the big character roster and everything, like we knew what we were getting into. But the problem is the trailers didn't always say, like, we knew we were getting into a MOBA style hero based shooter RPG-ish game. Like, it was a mesh of all this stuff. Like, it was a really big mesh. But some other people didn't quite comprehend it. They just thought it was going to be a hero-based shooter style thing. That's literally what they thought they were getting, and it's a little bit more.
Take for example, one of my buddies that I showed the trailer to. This was a few months after launch, like say 4 or 5 months into the game cycle, right? I showed him one of the launch trailers. He was confused as hell as to what this game was. When I tried to explain to him that it was MOBA, he was inherently confused. He's like, I thought there was more Borderlands-esque, where you choose a different character, go on adventure, things like that.
Yeah, well, you do, but it's not much of an adventure. It's mission-based.
But, so they could have done that a little bit better, made the trailer more geared towards what the game actually is.
And like the thing is, if the trailers made it a little bit more apparent as to exactly what was entailed in the game, yes, that might have hurt or helped it sell either way. But I think one of the main things with Gearbox is it comes down to they should have done what was best for their reputation, and I'm not sure if they did that. But so another thing, like we'll get to it here now. this game was initially slated to have 0 microtransactions, which was a big thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, but we
In
but
back
also
in
we didn't get the. Go on, sorry.
the year before last year, microtransactions were a big conflict of interest in games because games that shouldn't have had microtransactions were getting microtransactions.
Yes.
Hell, I'll still argue I don't think they belong in Mass Effect Andromeda. Cool, sure, they're an option. You don't have to go for them. It's just an option. Yes, I get that, but it's still a matter of whether it's something that actually fits for the game. And, you know, it was a big issue with a lot of people because, in some senses, it meant pay to win. Or,
Yes,
you know,
but with Battleborn, if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't until like 6 months in that we got the first microtransaction.
yeah,
Was it?
it was a good ways in, but it was still a shocker to hear that the
Oh, it was
game,
too, because you and me were both really,
yeah,
really pissed when we first got it because it was pay to win essentially when it first came out before
yeah.
it became what it was.
What we were okay with it, like I'm okay with it being cosmetic stuff, which I'll show you guys the
Yeah.
marketplace here. I'm okay with it being for all this stuff, even though this stuff is expensive. As you can see, this costs 700 platinum. That's gonna run you $5 right there. They're
Oh,
it's pretty
I
expensive
will say
stuff,
this.
so it's for
I
hardcore
will say
fans.
this though. I like the skins in Battleborn, but as far as games and how much skins cost, Battleborn is one of the most expensive games out there for skins. I will say that.
Yeah. Um, but then getting to this other stuff like the loot boosters and the double EXP boosters, that does augment the way gameplay does work, because it does, like, an inexperienced person can get to a high rank a lot faster by playing money. Well, my opinion on this is ultimately going to give them a more poor experience. Because if you're handed a lot more tools a lot more quickly, um, before you've gotten a good grasp on everything, you're just going to get confused, and then, you know, you're going to have a bad experience because other people who do know what they're doing and took the time to level up will be
Yeah.
far better players than you. As I can say, was a definite thing with a lot of gear in this game. Gear and
Yes.
some of the Helix options were a source of mass confusion among the community, and we never even really got good clarification on some of these legendary effects and some Helix effects. A lot of us players had to figure it out for themselves, and up until the point where we stopped playing, uh, even me and Tyler, when we went into pre-mates with other people, and we had other people who had played a good amount of this game, somewhere roughly around like 50 to 100 hours of this game, didn't know how some of these abilities actually worked and
Yeah,
some of these gear
exactly.
pieces worked. And I, being the one who does a lot of research stuff, I had to explain these things to them and be like, that's actually not kind of how it works. But then even sometimes there would be other people who would know that, oh yeah, those two pieces of thing don't actually function that proper way and it doesn't stack like that. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
really? Oh well crap, I didn't test that enough to actually know. Um, but yes, so, overall, it gave us a lot of experiences. As you can see, my mission count is, I attempted 748 missions, I completed 565. And they added operations, which were their DLC and
Yeah.
stuff. And my playtime, this is in mission playtime, in level, in multiplayer playtime, is 339 hours. So
Now I don't have as much as Max here, but I still have a shit ton because I capped out before I stopped playing at 250 hours, which is still a shit ton into a
yeah.
single game, by any means.
So we played it a lot. We got a lot of mileage out of this thing, which is a good thing. But it wasn't a game for everyone, and I would say the launch, again, there's a lot of things we won't ever know because the launch went the way it went, and
Yeah.
sadly, this isn't a game we're probably going to see a sequel from. It's possible somewhere down the line, maybe for a future console that gets launched.
Well,
But
let me put it this way. I think we're more likely to see a massive expansion to this current game than a sequel.
yeah, honestly, I would like to see a sequel that retools the game and made it like. I know that everyone says it's more Borderlands-esque. I would like it to be more Borderlands-esque. So
Yes.
sue me. I would like it to not be mission-based. Even though I do enjoy it, I would prefer it to not be mission-based.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, so this is the primary mission. Oh, here we go.
So are we
this
getting
is,
into the mission stuff
yes,
first, or are we talking about DLC first or what?
I'm jumping into Void's Edge here right now, which is what I'm going to say.
Then
so,
we'll start with that then, and we'll eventually work our way to DLC.
I guess the first thing we could talk about is the UI overhaul and the 4K support and everything that came up. But also, like, this is the loadout screen. As you can see, you have a different set of 3 pieces of gear for your character's loadout, which each augment your stats in certain ways or give you certain abilities or certain little extras and stuff. You know, you can get more by playing the game, getting more in-game currency and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just sort of what else was I gonna say about the gear? What else was I gonna say about the gear?
Different levels of gear, like white, blue,
yeah,
green,
well,
all those.
Yeah, there's the epics and stuff, but oh yeah, certain gear stats will actually not always be even work with certain characters. Like there's some things for recoil and reload speed.
The big example I can say of that, I know I'm jumping the gun here, is heal power with Kid Ultra. That's the best example I can give.
Well, also using a gun thing for like Wrath, which right now I'm playing as Wrath, who is my main character. And so we got our Helix.
And then even though I started out with Oscar Mike, my main character and my best character became Montana, who I became best with.
Well, he was also the one you started off with initially, actually, if you remember, and you just didn't know what you were doing.
I technically tried him out in the very first, when the game first launched alongside Marky in that first month, but then decided to not play him and switch to another character like Oscar Mike because I couldn't do good damage with him, and I realized looking back on that now, because I didn't properly understand how to play him.
Yeah.
But then once I got like 200 hours in, and like, you know, figured out how to play him, and actually got good at the game, he became my best character because I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, also because I sort of helped you. At that point, I had played him and I helped you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have a lot of good builds and skill and knowledge to attest to Max here because he taught me a lot. But I learned a lot too, on my own. But he also taught me a lot too. So I wouldn't be as good a player as I am without him, to say the least.
Yeah. I hit this game, as you can say, I've played almost 100 more hours than you. I hit this game pretty hard, especially when it first launched. I was ranked 15 with Wrath within a week.
Well, yeah, also because when the game first launched too, you remember, you had a lot more free time on hand than I did too.
Well, because I had booked it off.
Yeah, exactly.
I had planned ahead.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm in the corner. I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm in the corner. Yes. Fricking enemy scaling. I love it. This is not going to be difficult at all.
Yeah.
So we want Anger's Echo here. It has been a while since I have done this. And so, yeah, the whole thing about your levels resetting, but they had character ranks, which, you know, some Helix modifiers for some characters were a lot better than others.
Oh yeah, what is it? I'm trying to think of one character. There's one character where it's like I never treated any of their the Helix modifiers. I'm trying to remember who it was.
But then you have PB who fucking rocks the Helix mods, making her the cannon she is.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to be a damage cannon with really no strategic play with her, then you know you can just rock it like that. So, like personally, I just ran a build where what I did was I was a damage cannon and then I basically did shield regen, and I teleported whenever I wanted my shields back. I didn't use my teleport offensively. Use one skill offensively, the other defensively. Whereas Wrath, I play a little bit different, as you can see here. Oh, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. I'm not going to die.
Now, we're talking about Helixes. You can attest this more than anyone. Sometimes they put stupid choices in that, like, the Helix modifier versus what's currently on that level makes it be like, why the hell are those two up against each other kind of thing.
Yeah, there was, and also they're ongoingly patching the game. I know there's actually a big hotfix they're planning, which I guess is for a part of this whole, you know, it's been out a year, we're gonna do a massive hotfix because we haven't done one in a while, and change the characters up a little bit. I know personally my favorite here, Wrath, is not getting touched, as well as a lot of other favorites like PB, she's not getting touched. I believe Benedict and Galt, basically most of the characters who have been changed a lot throughout the life cycle of this game, because there were some characters who got a lot more buffs, nerfs, and just changes all around than characters like, say, Umbra and Alani were subject to mass change. Or Eldragoon is another example, and Galilea.
I was just going to mention Eldragoon too, but...
Oh, I don't have my.
Because for a while there, they tried to change him, and before they realized, oh shit, we gotta change him back, so we just fucked him up even worse.
Yeah, he's been a mess. He's been up and down in every which way.
I'd almost say in my mind, just because of what they did with him and the way he was supposed to be, but the way he actually turned out, Elder Dragoon was one of the worst done characters, I'd say.
Yes, because if you actually remember from if you were playing it like, you know, following it like I was, Elder Dragoon was originally meant to be a defender, but he didn't end up that way. But it's weird because he more or less did end up a defender. They never reclassified him, but he more or less ended up a defender, especially if you decide to use your gear slots as well as some of his helix options to raise his defensive capabilities.
And I'm going to say this, the only way you could properly make him a tank like what he was supposed to be from the start is if you use certain, like, pieces to buff him.
And they'd have to take away a lot of his splash damage, like a lot of his spread damage and AoE. They would have to change that up a lot.
Long and short of what we're saying is Elder Dragoon was not a well-designed character. That's long and short of what we're saying at this point.
Yeah. Honestly, what we're seeing right here is like, you know, I'm sort of a little bit of the ways. Oh, there's my Dreadwin. The game's narrative has so much character, but the problem is that character is not tapped in with every single person. The characters who get the most narrative and stuff are, you know, like Melka, who else are they? Cleese, yeah. Boulder, because he has a level based around him, which is, you know, more or less for a lot of people one of their favorite characters, but, you know, obviously that's part of what the lore's for, but the thing is, when you also do have characters that talk in the levels a lot and stuff, then you get a lot more attached to them and a lot more akin to them and find them a lot more interesting because, you know, they're part of active dialogue, which is another thing as to why I believe Gearbox is planning to make the changes that 2K Australia did, where they decided to make, like, the characters that we're playing as talk and stuff and converse, like, not just have generic lines, but be a part of the game. And they're planning on carrying that over, because, you know, they hadn't really gotten that balance back when 2 came out. They didn't really know how to do that, which is why the most character you get out of all the characters in Borderlands 2 is just from their echo logs. And this game got it, I would say, more or less right, but the problem is it's not spanning enough because there's so many characters. But that's also understandable when you only have 8 story missions and you have 25 characters. You end up with what is possibly going to be an Avengers Infinity War situation where everyone's fighting for screen time.
Yeah, but what I'm essentially, what I'm thinking anyway here, this is just my personal thought to add on to that, is I feel like they could have made the character, like, for each character, like, what their personalities, if you will, stand out more, because the way you unlock a lot of the characters, like, personalities, you do their middle lore challenge out of the 5, and you unlock an audio log, but not everybody either realized that or wanted to do that or could do that, so I feel like some of the personalities for certain characters lost.
Oh, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I don't want to die.
So, like, a lot of people are just like, well, there's not enough character development in these so then they lost interest in the game. What I'm thinking, I'm feeling, I don't actually know if this is true, though, this is my guess. So they could have done it better in making their personality more accessible with certain characters.
And the thing is, there's a couple characters, I know there's at least one, who get, like, 2 audio logs.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember who it is, but I remember there's one person I know that gets 2 audio logs, and I was like, whoa, this is a little bit, I don't want to say unfair, but this is a little bit odd. Oh my goodness. Nyx is giving me some crap.
Now, since we're playing at actual standard levels, do you want to jump into the point where we talk about each individual level, or just focus on the voice?
I would say we just talk about the way the story works in general. Like, the game does tell a story narrative from mission to mission. It's fairly by the numbers.
No, what I was getting more at is, like, say, for example, where we talk about the first mission, the algorithm, how it's, like, not possible to reach level 10 because of the experience, like, things like that.
Yeah, you can talk about that algorithm, that situation.
Well, the algorithm was a
good
level. Was a good level in my mind because it's one of the 2 you get for the beta if you ever played the beta out there.
Yeah.
You get that in Void's Edge. But what I didn't like about the algorithm compared to a lot of other levels is, still to this day, they did not patch it properly. Never did. Don't think they're ever going to. So it's not possible to reach level 10.
Well, it is possible. It's you get either very close or you just barely make it.
Well, the only time I've ever reached 10 personally myself is at the very end of the Isaac fight, at the end of the level, when it doesn't fucking matter anymore because the level's over. And that's the other thing too, is the Isaac boss fight was designed very poorly, in that if you're a melee character, you're gonna have an excessively hard time on it.
Yeah. And
more so than it needs to be.
Talking about, like, the helix points themselves, it would have been better if the helix points weren't something that affected one person and that we were competing for. It was just like, oh, you picked up a helix point, everyone levels up.
Everybody gets one, should have been the way they did it.
Yeah. Because that not akins more to what this game was trying to accomplish, which is fight as a team. Work.
Which now that we're talking about, a lot of people were selfish in that they would get all the crystals themselves, or get all the helix points themselves, not give a shit about the team, and then be like, oh look, I'm level 10, look, all my gear's up, I don't give a fuck about you, which is not the right way to do it.
This is another thing that really can hinder your experience, possibly, depending on, oh, that was a useless Dreadwind, but luckily you level up. Woo! Frickin' hate the frickin' suicide guys, they're fucking everywhere today.
But anyway, what he's getting to is the point is, if everybody's being a dick and stealing all the crystals, stealing all the level ups, stealing all the, like, extra lives, whatever it may be, then that can sometimes hinder your experience because they're taking everything and it's like, well, hey, I'm not leveling up, hey, I'm not getting my gear up, I'm gonna die now, but you're not. That, or, which is one of the reasons why our friends that we mentioned at the beginning, Kirk, kind of left the game, is people weren't very good about spatial awareness and were always standing in front of you, so that can hinder your
he got really frustrated with that.
Because he played Montana a lot, and people would just stand in front of him, like, not be wary of their space, and so he got pissed off as fuck.
It also didn't help that I was playing Cleese, and that's back before they made the rifts have no collision detection, so when I put one on him to support him, half the time it ended up in front of him, because I would be trying to put it close to his butt, but the problem is, oh, that's where his hitbox is, he's technically on top of that, we'll bump that up in front of him. And it frustrated Kirk to no end. I'm like, I'm not trying to do it. I'm trying to help you,
But
Kirk.
even at the beginning, before a lot of people learned spatial awareness, either you and me were getting frustrated with spatial awareness shit, too.
Yeah. Cleese had some hard times.
I'd say about the first 3-4 months, that was a huge issue until people started to learn that.
Yeah.
So after about the 4-month mark, you could say people started learning that and it started getting better, and therefore it wasn't an issue as much.
And so that's another thing about this game at this point. This would not be a game I would want to start new right now. Because if I was to want to try multiplayer, I would probably more or less get butt raped.
Let me tell you this right now. I'm going to tell you this right now. Multiplayer works better at launch than it currently does now.
Yeah.
They just screwed around with multiplayer too much.
Yeah, there was a lot of mess.
So, like, an example is, it wasn't just like it is now with the way they did it. They did incursion as its own queue right now, whereas before it was lumped in with everything else. So because why that's a big issue, a big deal if you will, is because the only people that play incursion now are pre-made. So unless you have a pre-made to go up against them, you're gonna get butthurt because they're gonna destroy you, and that's just no fun.
And the problem is, even if you're not quite a full pre-made, if it's like a 4-man pre-made and the other team was, say, a bunch of randoms, that 4-man pre-made more likely has organization and knows more or less how incursion works. They're communicating, at least to some degree, and communication is really the best thing in the multiplayer in this game. The moment you're communicating and orienting as a team, and I don't mean having one person scream at the top of their lungs at you telling you what you should be doing, unless, of course, you're a full team of people who know each other and that's your leader and you're used to that, or, it's something you're all cool with.
Right. But because of all the pre-mades that you get in Incursion, that's why I don't play Incursion anymore, because I don't like going up against pre-mades, because you just get butthurt half the time.
And see, I still played some...
no fun.
I still played some competitive PvP towards the end occasionally. I still have a lot of those guys on my friends list. I haven't deleted any of them in case I
still have all the people that we made as friends in Battleborn on my friends list. Like, I haven't deleted them, but I just don't play Incursion anymore. And that's the other point when it comes to multiplayer, is they added a thing called bot battle, which was not in there from the start. And what bot battle is, was the Gearbox was like, okay, we realized some of the PvP challenges that are for lore for certain characters are really hard.
Or
so
just challenges in general for
so we're gonna invent
titles.
bot battles so that way you can go up against computers, have an easier time, but still get progress on PvP challenges or PvP lore challenges.
It's
the only
also
problem with that that I have personally with it is it makes bots too easy.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
And also another thing was the fact that it takes a lot of people away from the main queue. I get it was requested. That's another thing we should stress. This was something requested by the community. The community asked for bot battle. You know, in a situation like that with game developers and their community, majority rules. So majority won.
Yeah. Exactly, but I would have liked to see them make the bots at least more challenging because it's too easy.
Yeah. No, I can easily.
So I'm all for bot battle, and I'm all for making something easier so you can actually get PvP challenges done. There's a lot I couldn't even do because they're too hard to do, but I would like to see bots be harder, or at the very least, you can have a difficult select.
Yeah.
So like say normal versus easy, and then you vote on which one you want, and then the majority they want easy, they get easy, or the majority wants normal, they get normal.
Have normal versus advanced, or
Yeah, that's the same idea, but I would like to see them do that with bot battle because it's too easy in my mind. So it's like, well, PvP is too hard, but bot battle is too easy. I would like something in the middle. Because one challenges me too much, one does not challenge me enough.
Yeah.
So that's just me personally.
Juggler. Oh, that didn't work properly at all. I booged him up, and then I did Dreadwind under him, and he just sort of phased right through me.
Yeah.
What the hell is this? I'm supposed to be the juggler. Oops, that's not the button I meant.
But the long and the short of what I'm saying about when it comes to PvP is it went from something that was fun to something that was less fun and became more about you could just jump in at any point to it became you had to be pre-made almost unless you're doing bot battle, which took all of the fun out of it for me personally.
Which is something that happens with any game, but again, that's a lot more akin to the size of the player base with this game, because this game didn't get the kind of size that a game like Overwatch is, where you could get matched up in seconds. Yeah. It takes a while. The only way to speed up your queues is to have a pre-made, so that's why a lot of people do that.
But then again, if you're one of those unlucky ones that's not in a pre-made, then you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, because your queue time's gonna be long, and then your match is probably going to be not the funnest.
Yeah, because you're gonna most likely get steamrolled by the pre-made, which is why, again, I towards the end stopped playing PvP a lot because I just had no fun.
Yeah.
So that's why I can honestly say I played more of the missions and the ops missions, which we haven't talked about yet, than I did PvP.
The DLC, oh the DLC, the mess that was the DLC, and difficulty balancing.
I opened the can of worms that is the DLC, so we might as well start into the DLC.
Yeah, the ops were basically, for the paid season pass, or people who bought the digital deluxe, which was basically included the season pass, at full price I might add, because of how much more it costs. Yeah, I'm still a little bit angry about that. I thought I was getting a deal on the fucking season pass. But before you get into your spiel, I'm going to say this. With the season pass, we were told we were going to have 5 story missions, which turned out to be the ops missions, for our season pass. But the thing is, we got the free DLC characters, the 5 of them, well before we got the first DLC mission. Yeah, we got
mission. So we
got like, 2 of the DLC characters before.
Was it? Yeah, we got 2 of the DLC characters before we even got 1 mission that was paid for. So
we actually got we got Ernest and the Thrall Rebellion side by side actually.
Okay. But anyway, what truly pissed me off about that is
but Pendles was before Ernest, that's right.
Yeah. So anyway, what truly pissed me off before about that more than anything is it felt like for a while until we got our first free DLC ops mission that they're putting more effort into the free DLC characters that everyone could do, whether they bought the season pass or not.
Yeah.
Then the content for the people who paid for the season pass, and I'm just like, really, you're gonna put more time into free shit for everyone than the people that paid good money for DLC content?
Which rubbed me the wrong way. Which was a thing that sadly, actually, for the worst, pushed up their DLC timeline. Because we then got them all in fairly quick span after the first one. Once we got the second one...
After the first two, we got them in pretty quick.
Well, no, once we got the second one, the third one was right after, more or less.
Well, the third, no, what I'm saying is the third, between Toby's Friendship Raid, which is the second one, and Oscar Mike's Battle School, there was an extra week or two, and then the others came out weeks
And then
after.
Demon Bear was like fucking 5 days.
After that, after Oscar Mike's. And then, what, like a week later we got the PB one. But
PB was almost 2 weeks. It was almost 2 weeks. It was like, I want to say 15 days. Or no, sorry, not 15 days. Yeah, it was like fucking 10 days.
Yeah. Anyway, so what, are we gonna start in by talking about each one individually, or what?
I would just, the main thing I want to say about the thing is, the DLC missions that clearly had the most put into them were the first and the last, which is sad that we got, like, the second one was alright, and then the third was more or less...
were just garbo. They were just garbage.
Well, they weren't garbage, they just,
I would say especially,
they were a mess.
School, since I did not like that one, did not like how it's structured, I'd say that one's the most garbage out of all 5.
I wouldn't say garbage, though. I would say messy is a better word for it, because they weren't necessarily bad, they just weren't organized properly, which caused some issues. The main thing is difficulty.
I know I have a strong... Like, just to point out to the people that are watching, I personally have a stronger dislike for Oscar Mike and the Battle School than you do. Just so they're aware of that.
Yeah. But you have a little bit of bias, because that was Oscar Mike's op, and it was the one you were the most excited for, and then it was your biggest letdown.
Like one of my favorite characters, and then you just shat all over it.
But we have to say, the narrative on all the DLC story missions, the narrative, and, you know, the story they tell over several replays, yes, you have to replay it to get the full story, even though that's not maybe the best design, but they're designed to be replayed because they were shorter. The narrative is interesting, and the voices and, you know, the acting is funny and interesting, but the problem with those two ops in particularly is their difficulty balancing. There's no difficulty select for the ops missions. There's no normal and advanced. The difficulty scales by how many ops points you collect. Well, the thing is, to get all the rewards, you need all the ops points.
Yes.
And it's not really, it doesn't feel like it's, you know, it feels like it should be a natural thing, and the difficulty should be like, okay, it's real easy now, and it's just gonna, it also will take some learning, but, and, you know, obviously in the first mission, we realized that it was the learning curve was mostly the biggest difficulty thing.
Yeah.
But with, you know, I would say there were some, along with there being just some issues in general with the challenges, which allow you to get more ops points and stuff, being absolutely, you know, ridiculous in some of their requirements, being time-based and wanting you to do very, very particular things that required a lot of finesse to pull off.
Yeah, like for example,
kill 5 enemies with a boom bot.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna mention, and I'm like, but they only give you exactly enough boom bots if you fuck up one, and then good luck with that.
And there's also a time limit tacked onto that on top of that. Or, no, sorry, there's a frame of the mission. Because once you go past certain points, the mission automatically, the optional objective is void.
Yeah.
But yeah, just before I get into the boss battle of Void's Edge here, just, the difficulty balancing was really the main thing, is that the challenges and the bosses were not done very well.
That's the other thing, since you mentioned difficulty, that I feel I should mention before we get into it. Which we have found very apparent from when we reached, let's say, the max difficulty for the first ops mission, which was Atticus and the Soul Rebellion.
Yeah.
We noticed that they are way, way, way harder than any of the story missions that you get standard with the game. So, like, if you're really good at this,
there's an exception for that, Tyler, though, and it's the mission you haven't completed. If you're doing 5-man difficulty on Rendane on Advanced, that is... Like, I'm not talking about hardcore.
Aside from that one, I'm talking about, like, say the standard 7 that are just there. the ops missions at max difficulty are 10 times, if not more, harder than the first 7 story missions you get. So like,
Yeah.
if all you've done is done a few story missions here and there, you're gonna think, oh, I can go into the ops mission
Hmm.
and be fine. No, that's not the case.
Here's
You're
the
gonna get
thing,
butt
though.
hurt.
With sorry to interrupt you, but to add on to that is like story mode. You have a lot more options with your team comp. The main reason for that is we haven't really mentioned it. You have 5 people in story mode, whereas ops you only have 3.
That is true.
And ops do the same thing as story mode, where sometimes strategy is key. And to put that best, Oscar Mike and the Battle School. The best team comp to run that with is a bunch of territorial people. It's
like Oscar Mike, for example, who can stealth.
Yeah, it's the only way to make it easy. Well, no, having a pusher is all right, and you can use the stealther build, or a lot of people with range.
The one where every character can stealth was the best one.
No, one of our best ones was Whiskey Foxtrot and Mike. So it was just people who could, dispatch fast and move around.
Right.
One of our best runs though was Ernest in Cleese because it was strategy. Now the problem is
that's true.
You have to play as all the characters to get all the rewards because every character gets skins from them. So it can be harder for one character than another just because of the way the missions are structured.
There you go. Just to give you an example, with the first one, it's Atticus and Thrall Rebellion. I had a hell of a time. It took me probably like 5 tries, if not more, until I finally got Oscar Mike's second tier skin for that mission because Sister Arya hits like a truck, and he's not designed to be able to take massive amounts of damage, so it was very hard to get his second tier skin.
So you have to be really agile, which that's more of a skill-based thing. But just to talk about like pure strategy, because Arya you can use, it's just about moving around, and every character can move around. Yes, some characters are more apt about it than others, clearly. To put example, like characters like Cleese and Montana I would say mostly Cleese and Ernest have a harder time moving around because they're designed to be in place X for X amount of time, whereas Arya doesn't really allot for that because she's constantly teleporting around and stuff. So it makes it harder but not impossible. Whereas the same thing is said with Mike's thing, but the thing is, because Arya was balanced well, or well enough, even though she was difficult and hitting like a truck, with strategy, she was, I would say, more or less became easily doable.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas,
Oscar Mike with the Battle School, even if we were to practice that to Kingdom Come, I think there still only would be maybe 2 team comps that would
I think a better comparison in my mind would be the Demon Bear.
Oh, the Demon Bear was...
He's a piece of shit.
The Demon Bear is sort of a standalone, because that's the worst example of balancing in, like, a video game I've seen in years. It's a boss that, like, even when you're not at 100 ops points, it can one-shot you. When you're at, like...
Yeah, I know.
You're in your first run, it can one-shot you.
I will say this, out of all 5 DLC ops missions we got, the Demon Bear was by far the hardest boss.
Yes. And the thing is, the Demon Bear mission itself is pretty amusing, as well as the narrative.
A good mission.
But the boss kills the entire mission because the boss is
Yes, and that's why it's our least played. That's why it's our least played mission of all the 5 DLC ops missions, because of the Demon Bear itself.
Yeah, and like, it's just the thing is, it starts off he can one shot you because of pure damage overpowering.
Yeah.
And then they add in ads that have one shot mechanics.
Yes.
That are not just like a standard, like a pool of death. No, it's a pool of death that's moving around.
Yeah, I know.
And the only way to get rid of it is by destroying the projectile. But if you're close to the projectile, when it detonates, you die. So you need to be a ranged character. Okay.
Yeah.
But guess what? The Demon Bear teleports around too. So I'm a ranged character who has to be moving around a lot. So basically, I have to play as Thorn. Okay, I can only play as Thorn or Mike or Whiskey Foxtrot. That's nice of you. Which is the main reason why that op was, why the next op, which was PB in the Heart of Ekinar, got a lot more balancing. Namely, they just made it a lot easier. It was really just made a lot easier.
But that's what we're saying, because of, like, the fact that, the first couple took forever to come out, and we felt the need to push it up. since Demon Bear, which was the fourth one, came out 5 days after launching my battle school, we feel like they pushed it up too much and didn't properly play test it, and therefore you got shit like this, which is part of the reason why we think the DLC wasn't done as well as it could have been.
That's another thing I'd like to bring up about this game and the characters and everything, and the fact of the timetable, the launch timetable. They don't actually really play test them. They make sure they're working.
That was very apparent. When the first DLC character launched,
just give me a second.
And she was OP as... Sorry.
It's like, they test them to see that they're working, yes, that their skills function, maybe not always as intended, but majority of the time things appear to be functioning as intended. And you know what the real playtest is? Oh, let's just launch it and see how it affects our game. But the problem with a game like this, which, you know, the player base is maybe not huge and stuff, yeah, those things are fairly apparent because, you know, we're playing a lot, but it really affects people's playtime or their desire to play. Like for us, we stopped playing PvP, actually. Our initial goes in PvP stopped when Alani launched because we realized how ridiculously unbalanced she was.
Oh,
and we didn't return to PvP for ages because of that. It soured our experience.
Yeah, I'd say pretty much everybody, well, not everybody, that's a bit of exaggerating, but I'd say probably, my guess would be about half the player base when Alani first launched, and we realized how broken she was in PvP, stopped playing PvP altogether.
Any casual player who wasn't willing to take the time to master her stopped playing. We fall into the multiplayer casual bit, even though I'm a hardcore player. We don't play really competitively. Yeah, we play to win, but we play as casually.
Yeah.
Like, if we lose, it's not the end of the fucking world, unless, of course, you know, everyone else is being dicks, and then it's like, well, that was just not a fun experience. And even then, it's not the end of the world, it's just like, well, we don't really want to play because other people were hindering the experience. And that's another thing we can talk to you about this game is, the game's experience is really determined by, you know, a lot of the people. The problem is there aren't enough people. The community found itself very sparse, or like, a sizable drop. It wasn't sparse, but it saw a sizable drop after the first while.
Yeah.
Alright,
I'd say for the first, like, maybe 4 months, maybe 5 months, it was going really strong. Then we saw a slow decline to where it got to.
Well, I'd say there was a bit of a steep drop when there was nothing, no DLC or anything, and then, you know, we got some people back whenever they launched some new bits and bobs, but it got to the point where people weren't coming back even for the new stuff. Or if they were coming back, they were coming out simply to try it and then leave.
Exactly.
Alright, so I'm just finishing up the Void's Edge here. So yeah, overall, and like, for all of our criticisms we're throwing in here, this is still a very good game. This is where I think you turn it a little bit.
Don't think we're being very critical of the game or that we disliked it because of all of what we're saying. We thoroughly enjoyed it.
This is
our hours played contest to that.
This is a phenomenally made game. Yes, it had a bit of a rocky ride within this year, especially during the later parts of last year. But this was a phenomenally made game. The strategy, the structure, the way characters work in their level systems, the amount of options you have within a character's play to have multiple different play styles you could run with. It offered so much, and it just sort of sucked when they chose to do their expansions. A lot of the stuff they expanded was not, you know,
done well. Let's put it that way. It wasn't that it was a bad idea. It wasn't done well
enough, I would say. What they did to expand stuff didn't give enough of a sense of progression. Even when they've raised the command and the character rank caps.
Which we never talked about in the first place was the command rank stuff.
Yeah, well, you know, it's not like it's something we can talk a little bit about. But the main thing about it is, yeah, the command ranks stay the same. You get loot packs every periodic. Wow, that's sure and fine. That's cool. You just don't get titles as you level up with it. And then with the characters, when they added more ranks, it was literally just a couple titles and some loot packs. It's like, well, I kind of want more cosmetic stuff. Or,
I know.
like, I know they can't do more Helix mods,
This brings me to a point that I want to mention. For the longest time, the character, the command rank, So your personal level, not the characters, was set to 100. So for months and months, when me and Max would play, we wouldn't be getting anything towards that because we'd be max. And then
Mhm.
finally, after like say like 5, maybe 6 months of it being like a capped at 100, and we have reached that, they
I think it
finally
was about
decided to reach.
7 actually.
Okay, maybe 7. But point is, they eventually decided to raise it to 150. But what really rubbed us the wrong way, especially
Yeah.
Max, is they didn't give us anything in retrospect of all that
Yeah.
experience we would have earned in that time
There was
to
no
help us towards
retroactive
leveling to 150.
application. And here, I'll just go to my challenges page. You can see by the percentages, I've done a lot of challenges. As you can see, I have 100% of the story challenges. I was rank 100 within, what was it? It was in my first month. It was probably within,
I would
what,
say
three
closer to 2
weeks?
months, but that's still
It,
pretty impressive.
no, yeah, it was probably about 5 weeks. It was probably just starting my second month of play of this game. I no, I think it was sooner than that actually, Tyler.
I
Because
thought it was like 5 or 6 weeks.
because
That sounds about right to me.
I was 50 within. I was over 50. Like I was 60 at the end of my second week.
Well, let's put it this way: we can agree somewhere in a month and a half, you reach 100. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Oh, here. Yeah.
And then,
And
as I said, I was like a couple months after you that I reached 100. So within like 3.5 to 4 months, we'd both reached 100, the cap for that point. And it was like, as we said, like 6, 7 months after that, they finally decided to raise it, and we didn't get anything in retrospect for all that time that we were
mhm.
already 100, which is kind of like rubbed us the wrong way because it's like,
Yeah.
well, we should have got something because it's all wasted effort then at that point in a
Yeah.
way.
It just sort of felt like a lot of that. Like even though we were the dedicated longtime fans, we didn't get anything extra except for you're at 100 at this point, so get the rest of those levels. Also
So
doesn't
that's
help
why
that it.
the both of us had not reached 150, nor do we care to reach 150 for that
Yeah.
matter.
Also, we already have a shit ton of gear at this point, and really good. Like, I have a loadout for pretty much every single Battleborn, and a playstyle for every single Battleborn. Some
Yeah, and
Battleborn I have two.
yeah, and I have a really good loadout for every character that I play. So like, we don't need anything extra at this point.
I wouldn't say
Really.
really good loadout because you like to stack legendaries like a scrub.
Anyway.
Um.
So the long and short of what we're saying is, with the command rank system, it could have handled that a lot better.
Yes.
But again, just
There
because
it
we're
is.
saying a negative thing doesn't mean we hated the game
Yeah.
or disliked it. We still thought it was a really good game overall, despite that.
Yeah. It's just overall, the characters were done really well. The game was done very well. When they did the UI overhaul, its runtime and everything, like the game runs magnificently now at the 100. What is it? 170, 150 frames per second, or 60 FPS.
Yeah, 60 FPS.
Resolution's like 100 and something. I don't
Yeah.
remember. And yeah, it was only me that experienced some slowdown at the start. Again, like I said, really enjoyed the game. Great combat and everything. You know, messy with some of the latter halves of it. Sad to see it go the way it did, but overall, I'm really happy with the product Gearbox put out. And again, just sort of sad to see it go. Um, Congrats on the 1 year anniversary, guys. I was kind of hoping to see something from you for this 1 year, but I guess this game is, you guys also have to adhere to your bosses and the people who gives you the monies, which is the 2Ks. Again, if we don't see another one still, I'll remember this game in 10 years. Just so you guys know that. I'll remember this game on May 3rd, 10 years from now, that it's been 10 years since Battleborn launch. I'm pretty sure Tyler here will as well.
Yes, I will. And my sentiments are exactly the same as Max here. So there's no use in me repeating what he just said, because I feel the exact same way.
So, again, for those of you who watch, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed our retrospective, and, if you haven't picked up the game, it's super cheap now. You can go to a GameStop, get it for like $20. I'd say it's worth $20. I still think it's worth full market price. Again, your length of stay with the game is highly dependent on, you know, all the things that we said. Hopefully you get some good memories with this like we did. A big shout out to Gearbox, and thank you for all the great memories you've given us with this game and with Borderlands, and we're excited to see what you guys do in the future. So I guess that's all you're going to add? Okay.
Yeah.
Again, thanks
Because
everyone
again,
for
I
watching.
feel the exact same way you do, so there's no point in me just repeating the same things.
So thank you everyone who watched. Thank you Gearbox, and I'll see you guys in the next one.